up in Alabama, I rather ironically wanted to be just like Zelda Fitzgerald when I didn't quite grow up. So I was excited to visit the Fitzgerald Museum in a house that she and Scott lived in Montgomery. The Fitzgeralds lived here from October 1931 through April 1932. It was the last place they spent Christmas as a family with Scotty. The museum is located in the Cloverdale Historic District in Montgomery, Alabama at 919 Felder Avenue. The large two-story house was built in 1904. Zelda had just gotten out of high school when she met Scott at a country club dance. Here is her high school yearbook. And here's Scott. Scott had dropped out of Princeton University and volunteered for the United States Army amid World War I. While awaiting deployment to the Western Front, he was stationed at Camp Sheridan outside of Montgomery. And here we see Scott's ledger. It was in his ledger that he wrote on September 7th, 1918, that he had fallen in love with Zelda. When the war ended, Scott went to New York, where he worked in advertising and tried to sell his first book, which ended up being called This Side of Paradise. There is a first edition of the book in the museum, as well as the follow-up, The Beautiful and Damned, and you can see that it really looks like Zelda on both of the covers. And Scott, too. The whole time she was writing letters, she constantly wrote letters with her own monogram stationery with her name at the top. I had the same sort of stationery when I was that age and always was writing letters. We did that a lot in the 80s and the early 90s before email. The letters were famously stolen for Scott's books as well as some of her diaries. Actually, in April 1922, when The Beautiful and Damned came out, Zelda wrote a review of it. Tongue-in-cheek, she said, Mr. Fitzgerald, I believe that's how he spells his name, seems to believe that plagiarism begins at home. Zelda wouldn't marry Scott until he was published. This Side of Paradise was published on March 26, 1920, and Zelda arrived in New York on March 30th. A few days later, on April 3rd, they married in a small ceremony in the very big St. Patrick's Cathedral. There's also a Gatsby room in the house with film memorabilia, including these actual costumes that Leo wore in the movie, on loan from Brooks Brothers. And there's Scotty's room, too. Their daughter, Scotty, also lived with him there. Interesting note that only someone from Mobile, Alabama would care about. There are dresses here that were donated by Dot Moore, who is a television personality. Apparently, they were friends. The house was the last place they were together. Zelda voluntarily admitted herself to the Phipps Clinic in early 1932 following a mental breakdown. So the last time the family was all together as a family was here in this house. Scott was to die in 1940. Zelda returned to Montgomery for a while, but she was in and out of hospitals. She had a lot of electroshock therapy. In November 1947, she returned for the last time to Highland Hospital in North Carolina. And on the night of March 10th, 1948, a fire broke out in the hospital. Zelda had been sedated and was locked in a room on the 5th floor, awaiting more electric shock, probably. She was identified by her dental records and, according to other reports, one of her slippers. To make it worse, a follow-up investigation raised the possibility that it might have been a work of arson. It is believed a disgruntled or mentally disturbed hospital employee started the fire. Is it a great love story or is it just sad? I'll let you come here and decide for yourself.